Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good evening, Chavrim, Erev Tov. Wonderful to see all of you all for this Shabbat evening. We have a quick and wonderful Torah portion today. It's from the Sefer Shemot, Book of Exodus, and we are in the second portion of Shemot, which is Parsha Vaera, which means and they saw and he saw, and it's in gradation that we're going to see the redemption out of Mitzrayim. And today I aptly named this shiur as, where is my honor? Because at the end of the day, God needs his honor. God needs to have his honor, right? But how does he get honor? How does anyone get honor? How does God get his honor if nobody gives him that honor? So if nobody is giving this honor, God is going to create situations in this world where people are going to cry out to him and say, okay, God, you are there. I recognize you are there. And that's how, sometimes God has his ways of turning us around and saying, Lord, I need to give you the honor. So this entire Torah portion in fact, this entire Sefer Exodus is about giving God the honor of who he is. You see, the children of Israel went into Egypt, 70 of them. They multiplied into millions. But were they giving God the honor then? No. So then when God seen that there was no honor being given to him, neither by the children of Israel, neither by Mitzrayim, God said, okay, it's time now to turn things around. So that's one angle of looking at it. So when we read about the redemption, when we read about coming out of Mitzrayim, when we look at the 10 plagues and coming at Har Sinai and all those great miracles and wonders that we read about, it's only to bring honor and glory to God. Because, there is some portion inside God that needs us very badly. And I think sometimes even more than we need him. And I'm of this firm opinion that if you look at our lives, we really don't need God. We don't. We have a comfortable life. We have a fantastic job. We have comfort in life. We got a, place to lay our head. We got food to eat. We got good friends. We have a holidays. We got everything. Why do I need God? It's only when we are crushed, that's the time we look to God and say, God, where are you? And God says, I've always been here. Where is my honor? Where is my honor? Okay, so turn with me to chapter 6 of Exodus, and we're going to read from verse 2 onwards.
Okay.
Exodus, Parsha Shemot, and we're going to read from verse 2 onwards. And he says out here, it says, why the bear al Elohim el Moshe vayomer elav ani Adonai. Ani Adonai. Now, why does God have to say something that said, I am Adonai? Why am I Yud He Vav He? And the Lord spoke unto Moshe, saying, I am Yud He Vav He. Doesn't Moses know about Yud He Vav He? In fact, in the second chapter of Genesis, it says that the Lord God, Elohim Yud He Vav He, formed everything, created everything. But here says, the Lord spoke to Moses saying, I am Adonai. So God speaks to Moses, and Moses is saying, one second, now, can you please tell me, Lord, how do I define you right now? Okay, because I cannot grasp this middot, this attribute of who you are. And then God says, I am Yud He Vav He. Then Moses says, okay. And then God clarifies
where is that portion where Moses says, I couldn't grasp More?
I am just giving you a situation where
okay, understood.
God is insisting that I am Yod He Vav He. Why is he insisting? I mean, everyone knows him as Yodhe-Vave, right?
Yes, yes.
So then God says, Vaera El Avraham, El Yitzchak, El Yaakov, El Shaddai. Ushme Adonai lo nodati lahem. I appeared, Vaera. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai. So Moses now is, getting this. Okay. He's getting the grasp of what is happening around here. Okay, but through my name, Adonai, that is Yodhe-Vave, I did not become known to them. They knew who Yodhe-Vave is, the tetragrammaton. They knew who Adonai is. They knew who the Lord was, but they never experienced Adonai like right up till now. So God is saying, they knew me. So when he comes to Moses and says, I am Adonai, Moses says, oh, okay, now I'm trying to get, how are you going to show yourself, Lord? So Moses is, uh, coming to terms with this new attribute uh, of who God is, of Yodhe-Vave. And that is why he clarifies to Moses, saying, they knew me as El Shaddai, but now I'm going to reveal myself as Adonai to you. So it is Adonai who is speaking right now. Moses says, okay. The world till then never experienced, they knew Adonai, but they never experienced. Now, do you all remember in the book of Genesis, God tells Abraham, walk before me and be blameless, right? El Shaddai, walk before me and be blameless. But we see there's a difference now. That what is it to walk before the Lord and be blameless and walk with the Lord? They're two different things altogether. So El Shaddai is literally saying, walk before me and be blameless. Okay, because to Abraham, I revealed myself as El Shaddai. But now I'm revealing myself, Adonai Yodhe-Vave, to you. Okay. And I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of the sojourning in which they sojourned. For I have heard the wail of the children of Israel, whom Egypt enslaves, and have remembered my covenant. Now, see, this is very, very important to understand. This chapter has the entire story of the Geula, the redemption that's coming out of Mitzrayim. Because when we read this chapter, we come to know and we come to understand the entire night of Pesach. Why in the Jewish Siddur, on the night of Pesach, when they celebrate the Passover, each portion of the Pesach or the Passover night, there are 5 cups. Okay. For God says out here, therefore say to the children of Israel, okay, Lachen Omer lebnei Israel, Ani Adonai. He's stressing this again. Vehodzi ti, and I will take you out, etachem, me'etachat sevalut Mitzrayim, vehadzalti etachem, me'avdatam, vegalti etachem, bezaroa, venatua, ube mishpatim, gadolim, and I will take you out, cup number 1, from under the burdens of Egypt. I will rescue you, cup number 2, from their service. 3 is I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. 4, I shall take you to be my people, and I shall be a God to you. And okay, that's the 4th. And the 5th one is I shall bring you into the land. Typically 5 cups. So in each Pesach night, there are 5 cups. Now, then we read, so I'm not going to get into the cups because that's a topic for Pesach. Okay, if you'll remember, the cup that comes after dinner is the 3rd cup, and it's called the cup of redemption. If you have been at a Pesach Seder at any point of time, the cup that's taken after dinner is the cup of redemption. Okay, and that cup of redemption is the cup of redemption that Yeshua symbolized when he picked up after dinner and he said, "Drink ye all of this, for this is my blood of the covenant that is given for many for the remission of their sins," because it was the cup of redemption. That means now for us from the Geulah, from the going from the nations, we don't know about cup one, we don't know about cup two. We only introduced to cup three because of the night that Yeshua took that cup with the disciples. We don't know about cup four, and we've not been introduced to cup five. Someone's mic is on. Can you please mute? Ivy. So we've never been introduced to these four cups. We only know the cup of redemption. Why? Because we from the Goyim, redemption is very, very important for us. So therefore, at the third cup, we've been introduced and we brought into this covenant that God made with the children of Israel. So I hope you'll get that from a certain point of view. Okay. Then he says, I'll bring you into the land about which I have raised my hand to give to Avram, and I shall give it to you as a morasha, as a heritage, for I am Yod-Heh-Vaveh. He's stressing this again and again, which means now God is saying, I'm going to reveal this facet of my middot, my attributes to everybody, and this is the redemption, this is the saving, the grace, this is that side of me that is going to deal with everybody in this world, especially in Israel. So Moses spoke according to the children of Israel, but they did not listen to him because of shortness of wind and hard work. So, so it's typically, you go to somebody and you keep banging your head and say, okay, there's grace, there's salvation, there's redemption, there's love, there's this, that. And they're saying, what are you talking about? No one listens to you. You go back to God and say, God, no one's listening to me. Why? Tell you why. Because of shortness of breath. Because it says out here, וידבר משה חן בני ישראל ולא שמעו אל משה מחזר רוח ומעבדה קשה. And מחזר means they were completely, that breath, which means, it's very important. Now I have done this about breath, right? What is the breath that comes from God? Is the neshama, the divine soul. The divine soul is being crushed because Mitzrayim has put them into spiritual bondage, not only physical bondage. This is not only physical bondage, this is spiritual bondage. Later on, as we go into this day, we will understand what this bondage is about, because we try and bring this out more into perspective. So, shortness of breath, because you're working hard, you're perplexed, you are fatigued, you're overworked, you're tired of life, you're in the rat race, this world is wearing you down. You say, I don't have time to go to church, I don't have time to worship God, I don't know what is happening with my relationship with God, I don't know why I'm behaving like this, I don't know anything, I just don't have that breath anymore. It's called shortness of breath, because the world has pinned you down. Mitzrayim has pinned you down. You come into Mitzrayim, it's very easy, but to come out of Mitzrayim, very, very difficult. Last week we studied a little about Mitzrayim, right? You'll know. Okay, let's go ahead. Lord spoke to Moses saying, come speak to Paro, king of Egypt, that he send the children of Israel from his land. But Moses spoke before the Lord, saying, Lord, the children of Israel have not listened to me. How will Paro listen to me? He says, for I have Orlah. For I have Orlah, he says. וידבר משה לפני אדוני לאמור, הן בני ישראל לא שמעו אלי, ve'aich aicha va'ich ishmeenu paro ve'ani aral shaftahem. He says, I've got aral, I'm blocked lips, I'm uncircumcised lip. There is a veil, there is something that's blocking me from speaking purity and truth, Lord. You see, so typically, a, a person who's not very spiritual, who is not anointed with God, does not have God's spirit, or that is not working closely with God, there are layers and layers of spiritual blockages. So that person is not being very effective in what he's saying or doing. So you can make this out. I mean, you can see an anointed speaker and say, yeah, wow, what anointing flowing from this person. Because most of those blockages or that aral has been removed. But the main aral or uh, of your klipa, that's a different matter altogether. We don't have time to get into that. That is the goal of getting circumcised in a very different way of the heart, and the aral around the heart needs to be circumcised for any person. So Moses is saying, Lord, one second, we've been in Mitzrayim for 400 years now. Look at them. They don't know anybody. They don't even remember you. I can go to them and tell them, the God of your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, sent me to you. They'll say, oh, 400 years ago, really? Let us be. We are having a tough time to feed our families. We're trying to make ends meet. And you're coming and talking to us about God. Really? Ah, they're not going to listen. Why? Because Mitzrayim has crushed them in the spirit. The neshama is being dimmed because the nitzitzot, the sparks now, are getting dim. But before they hit the bottomest level, before they hit this level where there's no coming back, God must needs step inside, send Moshe to redeem them from under this crushing spiritual bondage that they are in. And suddenly now, the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron and commanded them regarding the children of Israel and regarding Paro, the king of Egypt, to take the children out of the land. We give them a full brief down. This is what needs to be done. And suddenly the full Torah portion switches. It starts talking about the heads of the children of Israel, all the 12 tribes. And then verse 7 it says, verse 28, you come back to verse 28 of chapter 6, it says, and it was on the day that the Lord spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt. The Lord spoke to Moses saying, I am Adonai. He's reiterating this all over again. So you have this intermission in between. It's like having an intermission, right? Suddenly the movie stops at this critical point, and you have this intermission, and then suddenly the Torah talks about all the 12 tribes of Israel. And then we come back to the topic in hand. It says, I am the Lord. Speak to Paro, king of Egypt, everything that I speak to you. And then Moses said before the Lord, behold, I have Allah blocked lips, so how can Pharaoh listen to me? We come back to square one. So this is very intriguing as to why, Moses put this all in this jumbled kind of manner. Chapter 7, Lord said to Moses, so I've made you master of Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your speaker. You shall speak everything that I shall command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh that he should send the children of Israel from his land. And then verse 3 says something amazing. It says, Ve'ani akhashe et lev Paro ve'hirabati et ototai ve'et moafti be'aretz Mitzrayim. I shall harden Paro's heart, and I shall multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. Paro shall not heed you, and I shall put my hand upon Egypt, and I shall take out my legions, my people, the children of Israel, from the land of Egypt with great judgments. And Egypt shall know that I am the Lord. When I stretch out my hand over Egypt, I shall take the children of Israel out among them. But before I kind of open this out to you. I want you to turn to chapter 14 of the book of Exodus. Chapter 14, and read a verse of there in Parashat Beshalach. In verse 18, or read 17 onwards. We'll read 17 onwards. And I, behold, I shall strengthen the heart of Egypt. Mi chazak et lev. It's a different word altogether now. Here, God is God saying, Mi chazak et lev, Mitzrayim, ve'bahu acharehem, ve'avdeha be'paro. I shall strengthen the heart of Paro, of Egypt, and they will come after them, and I will be glorified through Paro and through his entire army, through his chariots, through his horsemen. Egypt will know that I am Adonai, Yod-Heh-Vaveh, when I am glorified through Paro, his chariots and his horsemen. Why chariots and why his horsemen? Okay, let's try and understand this now. And why chariots? Why horsemen? Why through all this? And why does God want glory out of all this? Because he's God. I mean, he deserves all the glory in any case. But why is God emphasizing this? Where is my honor? God says in the book of Malachi. If I am your father and you are my son, give me the glory, give me the honor. But I want you to understand, when God is saying, I will glorify myself through Paro, I will glorify myself through Paro, his chariots and his horsemen, it's because when Joseph took his father to bury in the land of Canaan in Machpelah, do you remember the entourage? Ministers, nobles, horses, chariots, everybody accompanied Yaakov, Joseph, and the body of Yaakov to go and bury him in the land of Machpelah. That was the honor that was accorded to Yaakov. Chariots and horsemen and nobles, the court of Paro, everybody went to bury Yaakov. You remember this, right? And they stopped at that place and they wept. And then they carried on to Machpelah and they buried him. And the people all over Canaan looked and said, man, what is Egypt up to? Such great honor for this person. Amazing. If Egypt can give honor to Yaakov, why can't Egypt give honor to God and his children of Israel, friends? Are you getting the point? If Yaakov can be given such great honor by Egypt, much more God. God said, where is my honor? Therefore, God says, with chariots, with horsemen, with Paro, I will be glorified. I will extract, I will remove my honor from this now. Y'all don't want to give me honor? I will get my honor. This is the reason of the 10 miracles and the 10 plagues and 10 this and everything is because God says, I will take my honor out. God had to destroy Egypt in ways that manifold in multiple spiritual levels. Because when the children of Israel came out, Egypt never ever recovered. Never ever recovered. They never recovered. The economy never recovered. The glory never recovered. Could never ever recover. So God is saying, I'm going to take my honor out from this entire thing and I will bring it out and I will destroy Egypt. Now let's get back. Remember this word kazak, to be strengthened. And here it says, I will harden a kashe et lev paro. So the question comes of free will. Is God interfering with Paro's free will? You can sit and think and say, really? Is God really interfering with his will? On one hand, he's making hard in his heart against Israel. And on the other hand, You know, he's extracting glory out of himself. What's he doing? What is God trying to do? I mean, you see, a very complex situation. So the sages thought about this and they put this big question mark saying, does God override human will? Is it possible? Really, is it possible? Does God override human will? When you think about it, I remember, I think it is a great sage, Madam Orachaim, I think, who came out with the best possible answer. Okay. He said, no, 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 no. Don't think for 1 second that God is overriding anybody's will. God never does that. He does not do that. When it uses the word, he hardens Paro's heart. And here it says, and he strengthens the will of Paro and of Egypt. They're two different things altogether. What are these two different things? Then he explains, he says, God does not override a person's will or, or a person's will to choose free will. In the case of Paro, what has he done? God has infused him with more power to choose. So if Paro had on a scale of 1 to 10, if he had the free will to choose, he was like at 2 or 3. God gave him 10 on 10. He says, now I'll give you more free will to choose. And that free will to choose now is fighting against each other. One way he's getting kavad, he's getting crushed inside. What am I do? My economy is going to go down. My labor is going to go down. This, that, I got this things to. Do I give in? Do I not give in? And then the other side, his free will is choosing to keep them. Don't let them go. So God is not overriding his will. I hope I'm kind of being able to explain this in more simpler terms. God is not overriding his will. What is he doing? He is reinforcing Paro's will to choose, and he's reinforcing his free will. And Paro now feels emboldened because he's got the free will to do to either keep them or not keep them. He's like the superpower now, and he's given Paro more choice. So when we look at the Torah portion, say, but God strengthened Paro's heart. He strengthened Paro's heart for what? Or he hardened his heart. He hardened his heart for what? He hardened his heart for a certain reason, and he strengthened the vision of Paro for a certain reason. So what was Paro's vision? What was he strengthened for? God strengthened the vision of Paro. What was the vision of Paro? That I want to make Egypt great and mighty. I will go at any lengths to make Egypt great. My manpower, my people, I will subjugate people. I will put everything in my power to make make Mitzrayim great. And this is the strengthening of Paro and of Egypt. They had a vision, they had a goal. But when it says that, he hardened his heart, no, that's a different thing altogether. That means now Paro is struggling with kavad, with the heaviness of this burden of taking this vision through. So he's conflicted. Paro is conflicted, completely conflicted. And he has the power to choose according to the free will that God has given all humanity. God is not affecting his free will or removing his free will, but rather he's giving him more free will and he's putting him more on the spot. The more of everything puts you more on the spot, my friends. Very important thing to understand. And I think it's one of the best answers that we can think of. Whenever you find yourself in a situation like Paro, know for sure that God is increasing your capacity and free will. He's not overriding it. He's not overriding it. Okay, so what does Paro choose? He chooses the vision. He chooses the vision. He's strengthening his heart. God is strengthening his heart so that he says, I will take my vision forward. And that vision of taking forward is enslaving, bringing, looking at the economy as a whole, looking at Mitzrayim as a whole, doing this and doing that and the whole other stuff. And I'm not going to let the people go. That's his vision. So that is what is being strengthened. At the same time, God is also increasing that heaviness in his heart because inside Paro is struggling. He said, to what end is all of this? Right? I hope you've got this now. Okay. So let's look at strengthening of his heart. When you look at strengthening of his heart, Mikazak etlev. Okay, as we read in chapter 14. He strengthened his heart, and then because he strengthened his heart, and after they left Egypt, he sent the chariots out to them to bring them back. So you have to understand what's happening out here now. Now, the strengthening of this heart is something that you and me experience on a daily basis. Because when we sit in our time and we reflect in our lives, we have decided this is what I want to do in life. This is my vision. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to achieve. God says, okay, do it. I'll strengthen you. I'll strengthen you. But if you're getting conflicted at the same time, God is teaching you something. Many of us have a vision about our life, right? But when we hit roadblocks, we are going to be in the same position as Paro. Okay, now in the same chapter, verse 6 onwards, okay, it says, Umoshe ben Shmonim Shana ve Aharon ben Shilosh Ushimonim Shana ve Devarim Haile Paro. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord has commanded them. And Moses was 80 years old and Aaron was 83 years old when they spoke to Paro. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when Paro speaks to you, saying, provide wonder for yourselves. And you shall say to Aaron, take the staff and cast it down before Paro, it will become a serpent. Very important statement. And this is where I want to bring this vision into context. So Paro has a vision for Mitzrayim. He will use any disposable, anything at his disposition to build the image of Mitzrayim in this world. Right? Like it's like a nation, right? We have many nations and countries today who resemble Paro. We want to be the biggest economy in this world. We want to take all manufacturing. We want to take all agriculture. We want to be a nuclear power. We don't want anybody to interfere with us. Okay, this is Paro. But to reach there, there are a lot of evils I have to do. What does Paro do and what does Paro believe in? When Moses and Aaron comes to him, he says, you're telling me about this God that you worship. You're telling me about this. Now do one thing. You all think you're very great. Do some wonders and miracles in front of me and let me see how powerful your God is. What does this tell you about Paro? This tells you one thing about Paro, that he and his courtiers and his advisors and his wise men and his magi and whoever were around him, we read, they were sorcerers, they were spiritualists, they were people who were bending nature, doing witchcraft, sorcery, and the most evil of things. And when this takes place at very high levels of government and very high levels of monarchy, it filters down to the people. The people don't realize the spiritual bondage that they are in, because the people at the top are doing something. So Paro's life was embedded in spiritualism, in witchcraft and sorcery. One of the reasons why he was able to put Israel into bondage and spiritual bondage, as I told you, was because of the sorcerers and this witchcraft they were practicing. So now, when Moses and Aaron comes to him, he's looking at them on those terms and those levels. He's okay. I know what I can do. I know the power that is behind me. Show me your power. Show me your power. When Paro speaks to you, God's telling Moses, see what God's saying. When Paro speaks to you and says, show me your power. Show me what you can do. Provide a wonder for yourselves. Come on, redeem yourselves in this situation. You shall say to Aaron, you tell Aaron, take the staff, cast it down, and let it become a serpent. Why serpent? Because serpent was the biggest deity in Egypt. In fact, he wore the crown of a serpent. Paro, if you'll know. Moses came with Aaron to Paro and did so. And as the Lord had commanded, Aaron cast down his staff before Paro and before his servants, and it became a serpent. But Paro and his sorcerers were able to do the same thing. And I tell people in this world, be very careful of the counterfeit. You will find miracles, healings, you'll find all these things happening around you. Be very careful. Be very careful. I'll tell you one thing. There'll come a time when God will send true men, and they will be in the same situation as Moses and Aaron. And God will tell them, when you go before these people, they will ask you the same thing Paro asked you. And that's the time you will know who is from God and who's not from God. This time is going to come, my friends, very, very soon. And you will see it in your generation. You will see this in your generation. So he throws his staff down, it becomes a snake. They throw their staffs down, they become snakes. Moses and Aaron's snake eats up the other snakes. Pharaoh's like, okay. They go to the Nile. Nile becomes red. Those people also copy the same thing. They're able to do the same. Pharaoh says, okay, fine. Then the frogs and the lice, and Pharaoh is like, all of them. He's also saying, I mean, we're able to do the same thing. What's so different about these guys? Why are they having such a great clamor out of everything? God was destroying and proving in gradation the different levels of spiritual exposure. He was exposing each spiritual bondage that Egypt was in. When he came to the seventh one, that stumped Paro. You see, the old world, Paro and the old world knew Elohim. They knew the God of creation and of judgment, and they reflected on God of creation because they separated the attributes of creative aspect of God into wind, into air, into sun, into this, into water, this, that, and they made each of them as deities, and they started worshiping them individually. So when water, the god of water was worshipped, the god of fire was worshipped, all individual things. This was the understanding of Paro and the old world. In plague, the seventh plague was when it stumped Paro, because God sent hail from heaven with fire together. There was fire inside the ice, and Paro is looking at the fire inside the ice and saying, "There's some." Now he's astounded. There's some problem. Some problem here. Why? Because he says, "How can two gods come together to conspire against me? If two gods can agree to come and conspire against me, that means there is somebody above them." This breaks Paro. This breaks Paro. Now Paro says, okay, Moses, uh, take your people and go. Take your people and go. But then he hardens his heart again. Why? Because what takes over? the strengthening takes over because his vision is before him. He's still choosing. God is not overriding his will, friends. He's still choosing. And he looks at the vision and says, no, how can I let go of this vision? How can I let go of what I need to do in life? Many times we all have visions in life and we're constantly fighting like Paro. Follow the vision or have the kavod, the heaviness of heart. We're fighting the vision. You know what happens? God allows you. God allows you to fight within yourself. He's not overriding your will. You choose correctly. Great. Wonderful. Great future. Great salary. Fantastic. And you're looking at that saying, God, everything is falling in place. God is saying, choose. Choose. You think God is going to stop you? No. But I'll tell you one thing. Even in that, God will be glorified. No matter what situation, God will turn everything around for his glory and for his honor. In every situation, top or down, he will use you. In every situation, God be the glory. And it was very urgent that on the day of Pesach, that very night, if they never came out of Egypt on that night, the spiritual situation that Israel would have been was being so bad that the bondage, the sorcery that they were putting on Israel in so many ways would have taken magnitude effect. And not that God would not have been able, but God would have had to do something spectacular to this earth to remove them out. So before that happened, God said, come, enough. This is it. So they fell, according to the sages, they fell 50 levels of impurity of Tuma. They were at the 49th level. Before that level, they hit the 50th level. God said, night of the Pesach, you'll cut the Pesach, you will have eat the Pesach standing with your loins girded, okay, ready to move. You will not sit and have the Pesach. You will be ready to move. There is an urgency of tonight. There is an urgency of tonight. And in this process, God destroyed Egypt and removed them out. He said, I want my honor. You see, if Mitzrayim would have given God the honor and the children of Israel the honor, the way they give Yaakov, maybe we would not have seen this entire story of coming out of Egypt. Maybe it would have been a completely different perspective altogether, a different storyline altogether. But God has to get his honor and his glory at some point of time. In our lives, when we forget God and we're pursuing our vision and our will, God is at the back and he's watching. You know what he's going to do? He's giving you the burden, the heaviness. What are you doing? But he's also giving you, infusing you with more free will and making you run after your vision. Like Paro. You're going to run after a vision. I got to accomplish this. I got to do this. This needs to be. God says, go, do it. When Bilam, God said, don't go. Bilam said, can I go? Don't go. But Lord, they're calling me. Can I go? Don't go. Third time, Lord, can I go? Go. God says, go. But you go, but you will only say the things that I tell you to say. And when Bilam actually hurriedly went, took the donkey, put everything, God said, this guy was itching to go. Now I'm going to teach him a lesson. We pester God for so many things in life, and God knows best, right? So God is going to stop you. I'm telling you, in all our lives, God is not going to stop us in the things that we're doing. He will never ever override free will. He will strengthen our vision, and He will give us kavod et lev, heaviness of heart, and the heaviness of heart will counteract your vision in life. It's a very, very important thing to understand what happened to Paro. When we look at Paro, we understand our lives, friends. And by following the vision, we're going to put ourselves in bondage and we're going to put everybody under us in bondage. Be very careful of this. Be very careful of Mitzrayim. It's also equally weakening to sit before the Lord and say, Lord, I'm not going to do anything. There are immense amount of times, I'm telling you to my experience, I don't do anything. Just don't do anything. Things just fall into place. And I've learned that the hard way. And between now, you will get injections from all sides. Pong, 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 pong. So what's happening? Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes the period of just doing nothing is very slow. You get tempted to run. I want to do this. I got this vision. You will falter. We will all falter. All of us will falter. Because we're looking at meaningful life and we're strengthening our resolve. I need to accomplish this. I need to do this. This also happens in ministry. Happens in ministry. So then you go down, have a great fall, and in that fall, God is glorified and brings you out. So either way, God is going to get honor. God is going to get glory in their life, friends. And today's lesson, I wanted to tell everybody, even in the good times, we must learn to give God His honor and His glory. The reason we give it in the bad times is because we're getting whacked. But why should it be that way, right? Why should it be that way? In good times, if you cannot give Him the glory and the honor, it's for the bad times. So the pendulum oscillates between having and the haves and the have-nots. You have everything in life, God is going to whack you and bring you down. You're going to get His honor and His glory, and then He's going to take you up again. To keep an equilibrium is impossible on this earth. It's impossible. There are going to be ups and there are going to be downs. So I tell everybody, be a realist in your faith with God. Be a complete realist. You will have the tops. You will have the downs. Give glory to God when you're on the top. Give glory to Him all the more when you're down. Trust the process. God will take you through it. If you're resolved about so many things in life, about your vision, about what you do, where you want to go, what you want to achieve, look at your life carefully. Paro struggled to forego the vision because God infused him with more free will. He never interfered, he never cut off his free will. He gave him more free will, and that is where Paro stumbled, friends. Okay. God bless each one of you all. May you all reflect on these things that you learned today. Shabbat Shalom. Till we meet next time, friends. God bless and Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom.